Today we're hanging out with Andrew from My Dying Bride. Andrew, how are you going today?
Very well, thank you. It's quite late in the evening here, but I'm enjoying this little run of Australian interviews I'm doing.
And yeah, that's exactly why we are talking today. After 35 years, 15 albums, a bunch of EPs, you are finally going to be coming and playing in Australia for two shows.
Yeah, it does seem rather meager considering uh, it is. I'll say it is what it is, but the short version of why only two is probably down to our normal working lives, if you will, and the time that we have to bomb around and get these shows done. And to make it work, lots of other gigs have been bolted in and amongst it as well. Japan and China involved as well. But we're just thankful. I mean, and I'm somewhat surprised, I have to admit, that this is really coming together because we've tried this before on numerous occasions, and for reasons we can't or haven't quite fathomed, it never came off. But here we are this time. We've got us visas. We've just been doing the Japanese visas, and we're presently doing the Chinese ones. It's all coming together, and it's looking very much like it will really happen. The flights are booked. This kind of thing is gonna. I mean, granted, yeah, it's only two shows, but still, it's significantly better than the previous attempts, which were none. So
Yeah, so
you have to
a
be thankful.
200% increase of shows that you've played in
Yeah,
Australia.
yeah. I mean, long overdue is the word that everybody's saying. Long, long overdue, and we appreciate that. But we are just. I mean, everybody seems to think we're well, not everybody. We kind of get the impression that we're perceived as larger than we actually are. All of this
Mhm.
band work for a living. Uh, so apart from the vocalist, Mikko at the moment, he actually does his vocaling full time, and obviously Aaron's not with us presently because he's pursuing his solo career. So but everybody else in the band is a full time worker somewhere, not necessarily in a factory, but somewhere in the Leeds and Halifax area. And I think that's partially the reason it's difficult to come and do anything what you would consider a meaningful amount of dates. Uh, so we think two is pretty impressive, really, considering.
And to be fair, the majority of international artists that come to Australia tend to only play three shows. So, I mean, you're really only sort of one behind the norm. You're not doing too badly on that front.
I didn't know that, and that does somewhat make it feel a little bit better. I mean, like, as we understand that, well, what we've heard because we've spoken to Catatonia, believe it or not, when we were on the 70,000 tons cruise when we played not alongside them, but we were playing the same shows, and we asked them about this type of touring, and they said that the trick or the hard part, particularly, is the distances, and even they were only doing two or three, like you mentioned, shows when they came, and they're full time. So we kind of took that as this is hard. This is hard to do. So when we thought we were getting two, we did think hopefully it's going to be enough, but it's basically all we can physically from our sort of normal or natural jobs squeeze in. We're going to have to take it. We don't have a lot of options.
The main reason for that, because in Australia, we've got, the geography and the population against us. We've got
Mm.
such a massive, you know, continent
It
of
is.
Australia, with a relatively in the developed world low population, with these huge distances between these major centers of population. So even for the Australian bands, the ones that live us, it's like weighing things up of like, oh, I'd really love to go just play Adelaide, and Adelaide quite often just seems inaccessible for the budget and the time that you've got available. And you know poor Perth, God bless them, the most remote major city in the world. I feel for those guys. Like, we'd love to get out there, we'd love to see more bands going out there, but it's you can't, once again, discount the obstacles that anyone wanting to tour solidly around Australia is going to be facing. And again, very much bless those who do.
I mean, this is like I said, it's long overdue. We are, despite it's only two, it's still two that we. It's taken us 35 years to get this far, so we're just going to grab it. We're just going for it. And as I mentioned earlier when we were speaking about this, because people have asked us, "Oh, what were you going to do?" You know, like as friends and family were speaking about it. And we said, we're going to. It's just about the shows. There's no sightseeing going to be involved. We'll be traveling to the show, concentrating on the show, and then moving to the next one, concentrating on the show, and then probably leaving. So we're not there to. Hopefully, it will be enjoyable in the sort of essence of itself, but we're not there as tourists. We are very seriously, thinking about we've got to make a good show of this. We probably not, it's going to be years before we come back. I mean, it's taken us 35 years this time, but who knows how long the next one. And it's just about putting on two good shows. So everybody goes away and says, "Well, that was well worth it. Shame they don't come back more often. The miserable swines," that kind of thing. But at least we're there just to do the shows. That's the primary. Well, in fact, it is the only focus.
A funny thought that just came to me to mind just then as well is immediately after playing here in Australia, I said you're doing a bit of an Asia Pac tour and you're going to be playing in Japan. And in certain spots in Australia, quite often tickets to Japan are cheaper than they are to fly to various other places here in Australia. So it's like, well, if you're, worried about My Dying Bride not playing in your town, why don't you grab a ticket and go at like a destination show and go watch them play in, Japan? How amazing would that be?
Perversely, one of my childhood best friends moved to Australia some years ago with his wife. I think to avoid his own kids, but don't say that out loud. And he never saw. I don't think he's ever seen us play. I think maybe once in Leeds some years ago, but he was man alive, was he drunk? So he lives in Australia now. So he's coming. So he used to live just up the road from me in Bradford, and now I'm flying, all the way around the world, and that's one of the few gigs he'll get to, Australia, and it's like just mind blowing that we're suddenly going to be all these distances, and yet bumping into each other again, him and his wife, Samantha. So that's an odd state of affairs. It's just mind boggling. So the fact that people can fly to Japan cheaper than within their own country just goes to prove that this is a strange world, and this whole Australia business is just wild. The fact that we're really doing it still hasn't really settled in, to be fair.
Well, yeah, we're gonna either way make the most of the opportunities that we do have to see you, and as I said, hopefully if you get that good turnout and people are frothing and hungry for more, it may lead to additional tours back to Australia and more opportunities to see you guys and more opportunities for you to see more of Australia.
The Australian appetite's there. I don't think there's any concern. It's not that there's no appetite from our side. It's just simply working life in England versus the time it takes to get there and get back, and versus other shows we might want to try and do. This is just all of it is somehow aligned. Whereas last year it didn't, the year before it didn't, and there's no rhyme or reason for it. Well, there is some rhyme or reason behind it, but overall it's just kind of all played out relatively naturally, and we're still sort of stunned that it's really taking place.
So kind of amazing to think after a 35-year career that there's still these opportunities and these situations that you find yourself in as a touring musician that surprise you and offer these new grounds to explore.
These are certainly new. I mean, we've struggled, if truth be known, to sort of quantify why we've never after like you said, it's 35 years, why we've never been to Australia, never been to Japan. And we look at us contemporaries and some of us peers, and we always come back to the same conclusion, is that because they're doing it full-time touring, which we don't do, we're full-time working normal jobs, which some might say was a mistake, because we did have an opportunity some years ago to take that on and just tour all the time, but nobody really liked the sound of that, so we stayed with his normal jobs. Whether that was a mistake, I don't personally think so, but some other members of the band might consider it a mistake now, but if they do, they're keeping it very quiet.
It might also go somewhat behind why you still have the passion and the excitement about doing this stuff, as opposed to maybe bands that they have done it consistently so long that it's just going through the motions. but on the other side you've got the vigor and the excitement of the every or making the most of every opportunity that you get.
We do feel that actually. I mean, we played 3 shows recently, and there was an element of a new type of nerves because we brought Mikko in as well. You probably well you know just to fill in for while Aaron's doing his solo solo bands and that kind of thing. So it added an extra element, but we were just pleased to be back out again. I mean, genuinely pleased just to be gigging because the dream of being a rock star and all that, it hasn't really left us. We appreciate that after 35 years, it's going to be a struggle to be an overnight success now. But we're going to carry on anyway and try and be an overnight success. But just doing, I mean, these are decent shows as well. These aren't necessarily small pub gigs or anything like that. These are decent festivals up and down Europe. And just getting back out there and showing people that we're still, relative, in our own little world and still willing to do that. They, perversely enough, going out and playing doom metal puts a big smile on all those faces. Not on stage, of course. That would be verboten, but you know what I mean. So suddenly Australia's on the on the radar, and Japan, China, possibly South Korea, as far as I know. Taiwan seems to have gone very pear-shaped, I think, politically with China, but not necessarily with us. It's just mind-blowing, you know what I mean? So you bang on, you're absolutely correct. These aren't run-of-the-mill. We don't do this normally. This is really quite something for us. And I'm trying to be cool about it, but we are a little bit excited.
As you mentioned, you've had Mikko filling in on vocals for you since the release of Immortal Binding in 24. I understand it was a unanimous decision between the band to get him to come and fill in from vocals. I was wondering about, what is the history between My Dying Bride and his band, Swallow the Sun?
Non-directly, but we know from him that Swallow the Sun, a big part of them were very, in the early days, very much influenced by our early music as well. So they're not, or he's certainly not new to our music. He knows it very well. And when we found this out, he stuck out as a really good choice to speak to about maybe coming and doing some live work with us. And then when we finally contacted him, I think Sean did the actual contacting. There was no, let me get back to you. It was just yes. It was just, I mean, it was that simple. And then within weeks of that conversation, I think it was at the end of July in 24, when Aaron had kind of shown us what he hadn't told us, but he'd shown us what he was planning. We really had to think hard what we were going to do. And within 2 weeks of contacting Mikko, he was in England rehearsing with us. And he can really sing. He can really sing. And he did the songs absolute justice. He was very nervous, as you can imagine and appreciate. And he did actually say that he doesn't, well, in fact, no one's trying to replace Aaron as the vocalist in that sense. He's doing credit to the albums, but with his own particular style. Still very close to actually the albums, but I mean, still. And what one of the nicest things of those rehearsals was we heard for the first time live vocals on 2 of the new songs, which we'd never heard before, because we wrote the album bereft of Aaron. He just didn't come to the album writing and sing on anything. So the first time we heard vocals on Apocalyptist and the Second of Three Bells is when Mikko sang on them. And at this point, we thought this is the right guy. There's no question about that. We went and did the shows, and he was the right guy, and still is. Oddly enough, we've got some. You will know of a band called November's Doom from America. The singer out of them, Paul, he's been heavily involved as well in this vocal sort of machinations in the background. He's given us a lot of support and sent us a lot of emails in relation to that. If Mikko doesn't pan quite out, we need to go and have a talk to him. So we're not without as options.
Got them all lined up, and personally, from bands that I love that have had multiple vocalists throughout their career, I'm quite often like as long as everyone's happy and come to the party, like
Mm.
why not tours with both of you, three of you, sharing parts, hearing these different versions? I know whether works out for you guys now or in the future what the logistics is, but just as a fan, like I always appreciate the different takes on things and loving the different areas, and of course then just loving the possibility or the thought of that, all coming together as a happy family. But then, that's just as a fan, that's not without any of the lives you've lived behind the scenes, the personal politics that have gone into these existence. This is just, pure fantasy, but still be nice to see.
Well, no, I mean, I kind of get that because, I mean, we didn't want to, we weren't ready to take this route. We didn't know we had to replace or find a new vocalist. That no one was ready for that. In fact, absolutely no one was ready for what took place. But I mean, it's fairly obvious now what was going on. Aaron's, and this is just my opinion based on what we see him doing, because he hasn't really responded to his last email about his plans, but we can see them. I mean, he's starting another band. He's already doing his solo band with the Parasite guys, and he's got some kind of acoustic thing going on as well now. So there's a big solo push, which no one really can sort of fault. I mean, fair enough. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. But we weren't informed. I mean, I certainly wasn't. I don't know if any of the other guys knew. But him not coming to the recording and writing of the last album kind of makes a bit more sense now, because he was busy with all of this. We didn't. Well, I certainly didn't know. And then when it burst out, and obviously his new solo career was kind of announced to the world, we learned it by social media. So it was a bit of a shock. So we've had to react to that and make changes at the way we operate. So whether we would have multiple vocalists of any description might be, I mean, I kind of understand that in a strange way that might work. But if we didn't have to replace Aaron at all, we wouldn't have. I mean, no one forced this, but we didn't force it. His solo aspirations have got the better of him, if you want to say it like that. And all credit to him. Go for it. You know what I mean? Fucking go for it. So you don't, because I assume he doesn't want to be like us and work for a living. So he wants to be, but he's going to have to go. He's really gone all in on his solo career. Fine. But we weren't prepared to be just shelved, which was kind of what had everybody disgruntled about the way it was taking place, because no one in the band knew what his plans were. They were all revealed just through social media. And we didn't really, I mean, and I don't look at social media, so I'm getting all the information secondhand. But I certainly know what he's not coming to any of our rehearsals. He doesn't respond to any of his emails. So it's been difficult for us, but we can see him working hard on his solo stuff. So, for us, it's kind of disheartening, but we hope it works. We really do.
Yeah, it's nice to hear from your side that the support's there and that the door is definitely open. But for now, at least with the shows that we're going to get in Australia, we get to look forward to hearing Mikko's renditions of these songs, if you will. As you said, it's the first time you've heard the newer tracks with the live vocals going with them, so that'll be exactly the same experience that we will get here in Australia. I think they're going to be absolutely amazing shows. So Andrew, thank you so much for your time with us today. And yeah, it's only next month that we'll see you here in Australia.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll. I mean, we're really looking forward to it, and it should be good. I mean, again, long overdue, and we'll apologise for that to each and every one of you. That's it's still a bit of a shock to me that this is taking place.
Well, I'm sure, you'll be making the most of it, and we'll be making the most of it.
Right. Thank you very much for this. Thank you.